But here's where I got the chills and I'm like, oh, I gotta share this with the viewers because I so love this idea. Now, it started with Beta physically attacking Rick. So I'm thinking, how did they get to that point? Alright, welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today we're going to talk about the Walking Dead comic, Negan working with Rick. Now, first off, these are predictions. You know, we're only speculating here, and the comic book, unless it's leaked like the day or two before, there's almost no way to get leaks or spoilers for the comic book. So, you know, if you're not caught up and you saw the title, relax. Now, let's get into this because we are going to be covering in depth and in detail what happened up to issue 156. So if you're not caught up, here's your spoiler alert. We're about to spoil it now. So Negan kills Alpha, and a lot of fans are not confident, not 100% confident that Negan is doing this to get on Rick's good side. Now, it is leaning towards that, not just story-wise, but branding-wise. And I talk about this often because this is an important thing behind the scenes, you know, as far as keeping a story or a franchise successful. This relates heavily to Negan because he's becoming such a fan favorite that killing him off right now, especially saving him after All Out War, killing him off anytime, you know, in the near future, seems a tad ridiculous. Now, if he dies after the Whisper of War or coming up after accomplishing something, that's fine. But to save him from All Out War and to kill him now just seems silly. So I was getting ready to watch and review Outcast on Cinemax, and the thought hits me like a ton of bricks. What if in issue 157, what if Negan comes to the gates of Alexandria? Now remember, the cover for 157 has Alpha on it, and I know that's shitty because she's dead, but technically her body most likely will be discovered, so her body is going to be in the issue, and most likely Negan's going to be giving the head to Rick, so her head will be in the issue. The only difference is they're not going to be attached. You know what I mean? So technically she's in the issue. So we have Alpha on the cover, we have a very pissed off looking Rick Grimes, and then we have residents who before we thought were being attacked because one guy's like this and a woman's like ew, and kids are like, oh, gross. Now I'm thinking, what if Negan shows up, Alpha's head in his hands, and he's like, yo, get Rick Grimes, and everyone goes, you know, Rick, they go running for Rick, and they're like, Rick, Negan is at the gates, you know, and Rick is like, who's with, whatever, are the Whispers out there? No, Negan's alone. Rick's cautious, you know, obviously he's weary. Negan has his hand behind his back. Rick comes to the gates, he's looking around, doesn't know what's going to pop off next, and Negan goes, how you doing, buddy? Something smart like that. You know, he gets into some chit-chat because Negan loves playing around with Rick before getting to the point. Almost with every single conversation they have, Negan plays around, goofs around, then they get to the point. Negan's finally getting to the point, and then he pulls his hand from out behind him, and it's Alpha's head, and he's like, I got a present for you. Now, I know we see a pissed off Rick on the cover, and I was thinking, you know, in this scenario, would he be all that pissed? You know, because we all know, and I think Rick really knows, that they have to fight the Whispers. It's coming. And the Whispers, you can't trust them, so they're going most likely to be, they're going to be attacking at any moment now. They could change their mind, they can make up different rules, for whatever the case. Now, I do think he's going to be somewhat pissed that Negan decided to take it on himself to leave, you know, but Negan's going to counter that by being like, listen, she was already planning to attack you guys, so don't give me that shit. And Brandon, the kid that let me out, you know, I killed his ass because he let me out so I would kill you. And he's like, I killed Spencer because he was going to kill you. I killed Brandon because even though he was a kid, he wanted to have you killed. He was going to get you killed, Rick. So Negan's got some very good points. But here's where I got the chills and I'm like, oh, I got to share this with the viewers because I so love this idea. Now, it started with Beta physically attacking Rick. So I'm thinking, how did they get to that point? What if Beta and the Whispers find Alpha's body, and they have other means to attack? Like, I don't know. Let's say a fucking catapult. It's probably not a catapult, but let's say they have logs to knock in the gates. Let's say it's like a medieval style armory that we haven't even seen. You know what I mean? We haven't seen that shit. So that way it's a big surprise. Right now we think it's just Whispers with knives and shit. Let's say they have something like chop down a big tree and they're going to use it like a ramrod. That's bad. If you get that, they don't have really a defense against it except for guns. And if you got a huge, massive herd of walkers, you know what I mean? And you can sneak in, when you're aiming down, you could probably pick off lucky shots and know who's holding the log. But by the time you pick them off successfully with all the walkers there, you're making so much noise. The walkers are, coming further. Oh my God, holy shit, I just thought of that. You're fucked. Because you have this huge, massive herd of walkers. You're now shooting guns, making noise. And even if you use arrows, is that going to be effective by the time they, bash in your gates? If they bash in your gates, do you have enough ammunition to shoot them? Then you have to make a game plan and get Eugene or whoever else you got to sneak out the back somehow or over the walls, some way to use that horn they used in 127. Hopefully they could take some of the herd out. So I'm hoping the way they devised the attack, the Whisperer War, they're gonna utilize what they have in issue 127, but as they're leading the herd away, let's say the Whisperers are coming up to attack. That's how they're gonna attack. That's their game plan, okay? But let's back it up. Negan's at the gates of Alexandria handing Rick the head, and Rick is like, fuck you asshole, whatever. They're going back and forth. And then we see the Whisperers off in the distance. They're coming. Rick and Negan's conversation is over, and Rick is going to go back in Alexandria, shut the gates, and, he has his back to Negan. Rick's walking away, and Negan tosses Alpha's head on the ground. It thumps, rolls over to his feet. Rick looks over his shoulder behind at Negan, and Negan is like, you kept me alive this long to keep your humanity or whatever bullshit you want to say. If you shut me out, I'm dead. It's like you killed me yourself. And he's like, besides, you need all the help you can get right now. And then he looks over his shoulders, and here's the Whisperer, a whole mass of walkers, Whispers, you name it, coming right for Rick and Groot. So then you would see the final images, the cliffhanger of 157 or 158, depending on if they stretch this out. Rick and Negan standing side by side as they close the gates of Alexandria. Ooh, and then we go into the next issue where they're going into war. I just thought that image of Rick and Negan side by side as the gates are closing and the Whisperers are now charging, walking, whatever. They are moving their entire Whisperer horde over to the gates of Alexandria. Maybe we even see them with a ramrod or something. Just that idea, that thought. Holy shit. But then it gets better, I'm thinking. First off, that is one epic way. In my opinion, if they were to play it out like that, I'd get the chills. I'd be freaking out, excited. Maybe that's just me. I'm sure not everyone's going to like that. They're like, well, I'll probably like something different. Whoop-de-whoop. That is completely fine. I'm just saying, for me, I freaking love that idea. Then after that, like I said, they plan to lead the herd of walkers away using the horns and shit. So now we have Rick and Negan in there, guys with guns, and then the others get on horseback. They're able to get around them, and they're trying to lead the herd away from Alexandria, as well as they finally get the doors or gates busted in. So walkers have poured into Alexandria. People are hiding, shutting doors, locking everything up. You got the horde busting in and Whisperers as well. So now you have Whisperers going door to door. Imagine how creepy that is. It's reminiscent of No Way Out, so it might be a little too repetitive, but the idea of walkers pouring into Alexandria yet again, but this time you have Whisperers in the mix, opening doors to houses, leading walkers in, hunting down and killing brutally everyone in Alexandria, as many people as they can. So let's say that type of battle rages on, but Rick gets caught somewhere in an alleyway behind a house, and he gets caught by Beta. Let's say a walker comes over, Rick dispatches the walker, and he looks up, Beta's there. Let's say Beta comes over, starts beating Rick's ass, and we know Rick, when he starts getting his ass beat, he goes nuts. I mean, he could bite off Beta's ear, but I'm hoping maybe he takes his claw hand, something vicious. It's got to be vicious. And let's say he jams it in Beta's eye. I mean, something nasty, right? So Rick is put in given the fight of his life, but it's just not enough. And Rick is losing this one-on-one. I mean, this is a big dude. That's where we get Negan coming in. Negan can bum rush, and I know this is slightly fan service. It could be because, a fan is coming up with this. But I'm thinking Negan bum rushes Beta. Now we're like, whoo, okay, Rick. Catch your breath. Negan's here. But Negan is not strong enough to handle Beta on a one-on-one. Negan pummels him, but Beta still gets the upper hand. He could throw him, into a wall, start beating his ass. Like, this is a brutal, brutal fist fight. And it takes not only Negan against Beta, but Rick's help as well. So they finally beat this giant, bastard, and they kill him some kind of brutal way. Rick is going to die right now. And Negan essentially would be saving his life. You know what I mean? But we got to give that moment, because realistically it seems like Beta would be difficult for Negan to fight one-handed unless he snuck up to him while Rick and him was fighting and just stabbing him in the back of the head, but I think that's slightly underwhelming. So we have this epic fist fight, and in the end Rick maybe gets a hold of his Python. He has Python. What is this, the TV show? Rick gets a hold of a pistol. Just as Negan stabs him in the gut, Rick is able to pull it or grab it off the ground or whatever and able to shoot Beta in the head. Something where they tackle this giant together, Maybe they can bring them together to a point where Rick he's conflicted to put him in the gate, because we already seen Rick being somewhat conflicted before, where he was talking about people changing, and he told that guy, he's like, I know, you almost beat me to death with that other dude, but we need people like you. We need to forgive each other and move on past this. And then he looks over at where he has Negan, locked up, and it's like, well, shit, and I feel like Rick is conflicted here, and now I don't think he would let Maggie just kill him. But if Maggie shows up at this point to finally assist, maybe they sent off someone to give a message to the hilltop. What if Maggie shows up after this war? That would be freaking crazy. Listen, Maggie and them get a letter, they get a message that the Alexandria is being attacked. So Maggie loads up her army. She's like, this is bullshit. Jesus is there too at Alexandria too. So she's like, we're going. Maggie shows up, and again too, this is somewhat similar to All Out War. So it's a mixture of No Way Out, All Out War, some other crazy shit, because Maggie showed up and helped out last time. So, and when she first took control of the hilltop. So now she can show up as she's busting in the door. Somewhat too similar, I'll admit it, because it was similar last time, chasing them off and busting in the door. But let's say she busts in the door, and what is she looking at? A bloody Rick, a bloody Negan, just defeating their attacker, which is Beta, fighting side by side. Imagine the look on her face if she sees that shit. She might then, at that point, be pissed at Rick. Even, we can understand she's pissed, completely, but we can also understand, what Rick just went through, because we saw that. Like, Rick was losing, whoop-de-whoop, and Negan escaped. Rick is in the clear. This is a successful way, I feel, to, even though it is repetitive, if you're going to say it's repetitive, I'll agree with you 100%, because we've had shit like that happen before, but, sometimes things are repetitive in life, so it's just unavoidable. Or that could be a cop-out, but so what? Because I fucking love this idea. So then you get Maggie just looking at him, just disgusted, And from that point on, we can lead into the story. Now, obviously, using this kind of story, you would have to forget about the people on the radio. Before, I was thinking maybe the people on the radio would, their storyline would build up more by the end of the Whisperer War. But now I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, the people on the radio is going to be the storyline after the Whisperer War, but Kirkman's doing a layered storyline, which is something I love. I hate when storylines go Whisperers / they're over, start, done, and then once they're done, oh look it, as soon as they're done, magically we get these radio people. This is something they've layered into the different storylines. You know what I mean? And I think that's the most effective way. I think that's the best way. You have to layer that somewhat. And I probably did a shitty job at just describing that right now, but trust me, there's layers there. And I'm hoping it is layered to that extent where we either get them during or at the end of the Whisperer War, or once the Whisperer War is over, we go into this new radio community, and who are these people? Before I go behind this video, maybe in an hour or two, I'm uploading a video that I have to keep separate because it has to deal with Negan becoming the good guy in both the show and the comic. It's kind of tricky, but a lot of what I'm talking about here, some of it might be explained about how we're making Negan a good guy in the coming video. So think of that as like a part 2, but it's separated because we're also talking about some of the TV show as well. So go check that video. For now, with this video, go down below and leave your thoughts and opinions. What do you think would be cool? What do you want to see? And also, what do you think is going to happen? And I know we get this confused a lot on this channel when I talk about what I think AMC is doing what I think, Robert Kirkman is doing. A lot of times it's not what I want them to do, and there's a clear difference. Like with Aaron, that prediction there, that's not what I want. That's what I think they might do. So, and I know I got a lot of slack, like, I can't believe you want that. I don't want that. You guys know I've always wanted it to be like the comic, since fucking day one. I think that is just heartbreaking. But that video was about what I think the AMC might do as far as the writers, not AMC. Anyway, thoughts and opinions down below, and also go check out that other video for Kinda Like a Part 2. Thanks very much for all the support. Huge, huge, huge thank you. All right, I'm out of here. Bye. Thoughts and opinions. I'm done talking. To your turn.
Subscribe now.